What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Geekiverse show. We are talking Star Wars The Force Awakens today. Big spoiler cast. If you haven't seen the movie, do not watch this. Stop right now. Seriously. Do not watch it. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler alert. So, that being said, my name is Josiah Leroy. I've got Andrew with me today.
Howdy.
I've got Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
I've got Jamie.
Hi.
Adam.
What's up?
Sam.
Hi.
And Pete, a.k.a. Grumpy Geek. That being said, we've got a lot to get to here. Right off the bat, first impressions of the movie. You love it? Did you hate it?
2 thumbs up, man.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
Okay, so we've got a little bit.
I'm giving a
what's
thumbs
that?
down and a thumbs up.
Okay, so everybody gets something to throw at Adam.
I got 2
Can I
nice
at least
fists
go,
here.
Can I go get the padding first? It's out in the car. Can I just go grab that?
Yes, forgot the hockey pads. So, Adam. No, I'm not going to start on a negative note. Pete.
You don't want to start on a negative note.
Sam!
You go to Pete.
Sam,
Yes.
was this the movie we've been looking for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely think it was. I don't think they could have filmed a better segue from 6 to 7. Like, they couldn't have done it any better than that.
I don't think there's anything that they could have changed to make me like this more. I'll say that. And you shut your mouth, Mr. Jamie.
No, I thought it was incredible.
Jeff.
End of story.
I had a blast watching that movie from start to finish.
Andrew.
If it's at all possible, from the trailers, I knew I was going to love it, and then actually watching the movie, it just blew my mind how much I enjoyed it.
Seriously, why am I here?
He can't even talk. He's like stunned.
I don't know,
So,
man. I got very good insight from him on that.
He's upset because he wasn't in the movie because he doesn't have the new, Yeah, but Andrew texted
Why
me.
did you invite me on here if all of you love it, and I'm the only one who doesn't?
We have
Because
to
wanted
have
to beat
different
you up.
points.
Yeah.
Okay. It's my initiation into Geekiverse.
Yes, it is. So Andrew saw it at 7 o'clock, so first possible time on Thursday. But I believe he texted me and said, "Wow, just wow." And I was like, "Don't spoil anything, man." But so you got out of it. Jeff and I and Jamie actually were there 10:20. You guys were there at 7?
7:15.
15. Sam?
8.
8. All right. So we were all there just about as soon as we possibly could, if that tells you anything. So Andrew, you were speechless when you walked out.
Absolutely. I mean, it was just from the trailers, you expect something, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like an iceberg, right? On the trailer, you see the iceberg that you actually see above sea level, and then the whole movie is just you realize how much there was to it. Just there's so much there to enjoy.
Incredible depth, right?
Yes.
Adam, so we'll go to you. What has you undecided here?
What good am I? A couple of things. First of all, the thumbs up part of it. Cinematically, I thought the movie was fantastic. I loved it. It was everything that I thought J.J. Abrams was going to bring to the table. The thumbs down part of it is...
I'm going to stop you right there.
Get out.
The thumbs down part of it is I wanted it to move forward, and I feel like personally, I know this is probably not going to be shared, but I feel as though
I'm sorry, Pete's looking at me waiting for my reaction. Stop looking at me.
I feel as though we didn't move forward. I feel like J.J. Abrams and Disney just went as safe as they possibly could and recreated Star Wars Episode 4 and then put some new characters in it, but the story stayed the same. It's I was talking to my girlfriend who didn't see it at all, and when I said it's the same thing with just a different wrapper on it, she said that was an argument that I should use, thinking that was going to protect me, but
Well, she was wrong.
It's not going to, but
I actually share the same sentiment. I felt that it felt a lot like 4. And they could have made it safe because they wanted to gauge people's reactions to the new, how they were taking it.
That's done by design,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like after
We talked about bringing fans back in.
Yeah, I mean, it's done by design, but, here's the thing. I agree with Adam 100%. It just didn't stop me from liking it. But if you think about, I walked out of the theater with him, and I'm never speechless, and he was speechless for a different reason. He was like, I don't want to talk about this with you.
And definitely not Josiah.
Because you like everything, and but I mean, not only did it have a lot of the same feel, it had a lot of the same look. I mean, there was absolutely a shot there of Ren walking into the sunset on the desert planet with the building there that was cut right out. I mean, it was basically the same shot. They must have sat there and said, we want exactly the same thing. She dresses a lot like Luke dresses in the, in that sort of,
Right.
Right.
the desert planet to start the thing. Like it was the same movie.
We knew going into this that there was going to be a lot of symmetry.
Right.
We knew that, right?
Yeah.
Symmetry's
Yeah.
a good word. Symmetry's a good word.
Even when they were like, oh, let's take it out by shooting this little exhaust port. I'm like, oh, really?
Right. So you and I talked about it on
Yeah.
our countdown to The Force Awakens, right?
Yeah.
I said, look at that base in the background on the
Yeah.
poster. Starkiller base.
Yeah.
Which ended up being, for all intents and purposes, another Death Star.
Yeah.
It's not a Death Star on steroids. It was huge.
It's just a living Death Star.
Yes.
Like, and that was one of the things, like, I have a hard time believing, and you're going to know the answer to this. So
Maybe.
I'll ask
Probably.
I'll ask a question before I say this. How long after the original trilogies does this happen?
So approximately 32 years from Return of the Jedi.
Okay, so in 32 years, you're going to tell me that the bad guys still dress the same, and they still build a giant circle or giant sphere that shoots a laser that destroys planets with one fatal flaw in it?
Adam,
we haven't learned
I'm
yet?
so glad you asked this question. So, there is a huge background. You know with Star
People are
Wars.
going to think that we did that on purpose, and that was completely not on purpose. Like,
This is all improv, folks. I've got a list of topics to talk about. That's about it. Just so I can clear my head. You're right. So I don't want to agree with you in the least bit. But you know what? With your perception of it, you're right. If you're looking at it that way, there's a lot that they took from A New Hope from this. Totally. Can't argue that. I'm with Pete, though. It didn't keep me from loving it or
Right.
liking it in your case.
Right.
It went so similar to the point where, like, you're talking about Rey on the planet and with the sunset, but when you look at the actual, like, attack runs of the X-Wing fighters, they're in a trench. There's the scene where inside of the trench you see the two guns that turn, swivel, and then start firing. Like, it's literally just, basically they looked at the movie and said, well, let's do this, but let's actually make it look realistic instead of just where you can tell now that it was models and everything else.
So you said something to me Friday, I think. You said if this was the first Star Wars movie you ever saw, you would have had a different opinion.
If I had never seen any of the Star Wars movies at all, this is what my first introduction to Star Wars was. I walk out of that theater like, oh my God, I need the next one. Like, I need it now. But because I've seen it in, like, hokey, campy style, I've seen this exact same story. All you did for me was update how it looks and add some new characters, which there could be some interesting stories that play off there. Like, I do want to know what happens to Finn, and does Chewbacca stay in it? Does he never come back again? Does he just float off into space? And
Who gets the keys to the Millennium Falcon?
Well,
Like,
we already
that's what I
know who
wanna
has
know.
the keys.
Well, we know
because
who has
she
them
took
now.
it.
Well, she
Yeah.
was with him though. Like Chewbacca was there.
she was
and
with
R2
Chewbacca,
there, so
and you never know. That could be like, Rey and Luke could be on that planet for years training and stuff like that. I highly doubt Chewbacca and R2 are just gonna sit there and be like, so you want to go play another game of monster checkers or something? Like,
Well,
they're not gonna
can I-
sit there.
I know the
I want
real
to say
name of that.
something about that, like the whole symmetry thing. And I think there was a good amount of throwback, almost I call it like the nostalgia factor,
Oh,
right? Like
absolutely.
especially like the image of Rey that you're talking about walking this.
Yeah,
That's total
absolutely.
throwback to Luke
Absolutely.
on Tatooine. But I cannot think that was done on accident. That
Oh,
it was
no.
so similar,
No, it
and it
was.
brings to mind Battlestar Galactica. You guys watch Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah.
They had that
Don't
phrase
spoil
that came
the
up
ending.
again.
I've never seen the
It
ending.
was. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it.
It's
I
never
mean,
made
it's
it
like
to an ending.
it's like 10 years
Every
old.
series
Yeah.
just ends in space.
Battlestar Galactica spoilers!
It's never made it to an ending.
This turned into a Battlestar Galactica
Oh, no!
spoilercast. If you've never seen Battlestar Galactica, don't
Turn it off!
It's only been a couple years since that came out.
So back,
Yeah, only
and-
We're spoiling everything, not just Star Wars. And
back to Andrew's.
And then at the end of Sixth Sense,
Wait a minute.
Bruce
What?
Willis is
Willis
dead.
dead? Was there really a Sixth Sense in that?
No,
it wasn't worth 6 cents.
Spoiler. So, but they say in Battlestar Galactica, this has happened before, it will happen again. And I keep thinking there's got to be something, and I've got a Snoke theory I'm going to hit you with later. there's got to be something there in the universe that's a reason why this is something so similar happening again.
I can support that after your point.
Oh, completely. I 100% think the theme of the next, certainly episode 7, is that history repeats itself.
So episode 8 is going to be called The First Order Strikes Back.
Right down to. All right, that might stop me from going.
That might be a little bit.
Wait a second, I see what you're doing.
But even to the point where you have, it ended quicker, but you have the same father-son relationship in Ben, Kylo Ren, and Han.
Exactly.
Like you have the big important character die. Like Ben Kenobi dies in 4, right? You have the same kind of thing in 7, where it's a big important character dies. I mean, the symmetry is it symmetry or is it a tracing?
Well, even to take that a little further, it's George Lucas, when he wrote it, based it heavily on Campbell's archetypes. And one of the things in the hero's journey is a reconciliation with the father. Mm-hmm. And if you think about the perversion of that in this one, where Ren doesn't reconcile with his father, he kills his father.
Right.
And that, caused me to pause for a second and think, well, that's almost it's like spitting in the face of the hero's journey to reconcile. You killed your father, so now what happens?
Yeah.
So
interesting. So with a little bit of background of the movie, they make fun of me constantly. You imagine that, geeks picking on geeks. So with regards to the setup, this doesn't quite answer your question, Adam, but there's 32 years between the movies. So basically you have, from the prequels, you have the Republic, which becomes the Empire, which becomes the New Republic for this trilogy. The New Republic planet, and the Senate gets blown up by Starkiller Base. That's where they are. The First Order.
See one great shot. It looks like a great place to go and visit. That one shot you get to
very
see.
much like all the
like Coruscant.
I thought it was
Yeah,
Coruscant.
I thought it was too. I was
Yeah.
like, no, I love that
It's
place.
the new Coruscant in a way, because basically what happened was the Senate moved there. They wanted to get away from Coruscant after the fall of the Empire.
Oh.
So they basically blow up what is essentially the new Coruscant. I don't know the name of it, but
Probably New Coruscant.
probably.
Yeah.
We did
So-
with New York here in America.
Wait, is it New Alderaan?
Oh, too soon.
Way too soon.
I don't condone that kind of stuff. There's no controversy on my shit.
30 years, way too soon.
So
There's the door right there.
the First Order is the remnant of the Empire. They're not the Empire, though. Basically, the New Republic, so Princess Leia, all the good guys you remember from Return of the Jedi, they have an agreement in place with what remains of the Empire. They're basically stripped down of everything. They can't weaponize, they can't have an army. Think of it a lot like Germany after World War II.
It worked out pretty well, huh?
Very well. So there's that.
Their stupid logo looks like the Star Killer base. That big red banner. It's like they're not waving it in the.
so
in
On the
resistance
cover of
base,
that
you know?
book right there, you will see the old Empire logo, and it looks, like you said, very similar to that.
Correct, because they thought the Empire was right. They're the remnants of it. They've been in the far reaches of space, kind of saying, we need to avenge the Empire. Think of it that way. So the Resistance is actually, in a way, the new Rebel Alliance. They're, not quite though, they're basically headed up by Princess Leia, or General Leia, and they're a military faction that supports the New Republic. But the New Republic doesn't want to tightly associate with them because they're all about peace. They're all about saying, no, we don't need that. So General Leia basically, long story short, throughout the years, got away from the New Republic because they weren't doing enough to prevent the First Order from building stuff. You see Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer. They're not technically supposed to have that. It's kind of like a sanction. So that might give a little more clarity as to your point, your counter-argument.
I just think it's a little far-fetched to believe, even if you're worshiping the Empire the way that the First Order does.
Kylo Ren wants to be Darth Vader, man.
Yeah, perfectly fine. There's even, if you want to go that route, there's even a similarity. Another shot that's very similar is when you see Darth Vader in his Star Destroyer, and he's just staring out into space on the windows.
Mm-hmm.
There's the same shot again of Kylo Ren doing the same
It's in the
thing.
genes, man. It's in the genes.
Well, they do that in every Star Wars, though. I'm
Yeah.
playing through Knights of the Old Republic because it's free on my tablet for some reason, and there's a shot of Malik, I think.
Mhm.
Malik, just
Yes.
sitting there, hands behind, just looking out. to the
Very,
stars.
very stoic, looking out to the stars.
They're
They
contemplating
do it in everything.
something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Can we talk about?
I would do it too.
I mean,
If I had windows on a big thing, I'd stand there.
If I had a
As
Star
much
Destroyer,
as
I
I
would move
could.
from that
Right.
position.
That would be
as much as I
It's
could.
like always like blowing up, right?
Yeah. And then second thought, I don't want to Star Destroyer.
It's kind of gas mileage, even at these prices. It's
Right. It's just not worth it.
That thing's like a
It's
Winnebago.
sitting in the garage. I wouldn't even put insurance on it.
park it on Jakku.
No, put insurance on it, and then you
That-
call
that
that money
explains it.
return.
There you go.
Yeah.
It was a bad park job. The guy was
They started
clearly
naming
intoxicated. He was
NCC
driving that Star
numbers.
Destroyer, right?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that chapter in the book yet.
Don't spoil Aftermath. So, Kylo Ren's origin. We find that out pretty quickly in the movie. Jeff, thoughts on that? It's not hidden long.
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, I was expecting that to be like your big reveal towards the end of the movie, but we got hit with it very quickly. And I like that because then it allowed it to kind of simmer throughout the rest of the movie. It allowed it to kind of hit you deep that there is a very unfortunate family conflict with characters that are very close to our hearts as Star Wars fans.
I like immediately how he's on Jakku, and Max von Sydow's character, so the older guy, who talks to Poe, he says basically something to the effect of, "I knew you before you called yourself Kylo Ren."
Mhm.
And Kylo also mentions looking for Luke Skywalker, which kind of also answered that question early on too. I like that they did that. It was perfectly timed in my opinion. That was pretty good.
I have to say, I like that when they initially say, they let it out that Han Solo is his father, they don't say that Leia's his mother, that you're not sure about that at first, because when Han is pictured, he's not with Leia at all, and you don't know if they're still together or
Yeah, it was timed
anything.
nicely.
But then later on, he refers to Darth Vader as grandfather, so
Mhm.
you know Leia has to be his mother at that point.
Right, which I think at that point they already probably, I believe they established that
Do
Leia
they?
was his
Yeah.
mother.
Does he say grandfather before Han and Leia meet to say
No.
I
our
think so.
son?
I didn't think they did.
I think he did because I saw that part and I was thinking, grandfather. I was like, so is he Luke? I was like, it can't be Luke because he's Han Solo. So I was like, oh, okay, so they
That'd be a whole different story.
yeah, that'd be like a Caitlyn Jenner situation.
Jedi of the Year. So we established right away that Luke is missing. First line in the crawl. That was awesome.
Yeah.
No
You have
questions.
no. I said, and I made the joke to you because me and him were gonna see it before you. That I was gonna take a picture of the opening crawl and send it to you. And I sat there the entire time in the theater, like, I could do it. I could totally do it. And like the more people that kept coming in and sitting down in front of us, I was just like, I could still do it between this gap right here. And then like there was something about on the
I'm
screen.
cringing at the
Right,
thought of you
basically on the
doing that
screen
for
they
me.
say if you pull out your
Yeah.
you pull out your devices, we're patrolling and we'll kill you.
And like
So don't videotape.
I really thought about it, except for like the one attendant was literally standing right, like almost next to us. And it's like,
Yeah, I
Right,
think
we sat on we were the first guys in the theater, so we got the pick of the seats. And I'm an aisle seat guy because I have long legs and I like to,
Sure. Who doesn't love an aisle seat?
Yeah, right. So.
It sounds like it's turning into an episode of Seinfeld. Sure. You gotta have the aisle seat, Jerry.
Gotta have that.
So get my junior mints.
The other thing that I just want to touch on real quick, the reveal of Kylo Ren. I love
Without the helmet?
that he took his mask off.
Yes.
yeah.
I love that there was that there's a human being inside there. You didn't see that for Vader until the end of almost the end of 6, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool to me because it gave him a
Humanize, right?
right.
The only thing I
something to see.
didn't like about Kylo Ren in general, and it's like really not that big, I just didn't like the voice mod that he had on the helmet.
It's
Like,
trying to be Vader.
yeah, but it sounded, I don't know, it sounded weird. It sounded just off enough that it wasn't like,
Almost like Bane.
That's
Yeah,
I wish Bone in the dog.
Very big.
I know.
That exact
Yes.
impersonation
Yeah.
on last week's show.
Yeah, we
I went
He's
over-
voted to the dark side.
I went over at one
Wasn't it
point,
like-
I even said that, like, you think the doctor is your friend.
Sam, you would have thought.
I did have a thought. I was like, how did you guys feel about it? Because like I feel like that took away, like when you didn't see Vader's face, you were like thinking like he was this like super villain. Like he was like this criminal. I think it kind of ruins how evil he really is when you find out that he's human.
I wanted
He's
to
a
see
boy.
it.
He looks like that.
Or doesn't
he's a
enhance it
boy.
because you realize that
he's a kid.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah, exactly. And like,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh.
No, I wanted to
Wow.
see it. Not like I wanted to see Vader. This was like I kind of need to. I didn't feel any connection
If
to
he
Kylo.
was right, if he was Vader, I would have been. Like I said, are we talking about symmetry or are we talking about our tracing?
Yeah.
You know, like if it's, and I think that the great part about Kylo Ren to me is he's so insecure.
Yes.
He's so unstable.
He's
I
Anakin
love
Skywalker.
his, I
Right.
love
When
his
he-
tantrums.
Yeah,
his
when he-
tantrums are
when he-
fantastic.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
The stormtroopers walking away.
That was the best
It
moment.
was hilarious.
That was.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh
they-
my gosh.
They knew what was going down in there. They knew.
I like how
They've
they,
seen this before.
they kind of stopped too. Like they're like, do I want? No,
Yeah, no.
no, and then they're just like,
because he had emotions, and I think that like the whole humanizing. We saw his face. You know he has angry outbursts. Like he's human. Like he's not like this cold machine.
the
you
the
know?
angry outburst made me kind of feel like he was really immature, which kind of like goes to show like he fights that way a little bit too, where he definitely the whole like I'm gonna slash everything up, then I'm gonna ask you anything else, and when you tell me another bad news, I'm like gonna kill you thing. Like that's very like little kid kind of reaction to something.
There's a ton of Anakin Skywalker in him, genes
Yeah.
aside, right?
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Even the hair.
The only thing scarier than a villain with a ton of power is a villain with a ton of power who doesn't know how to control it.
Who doesn't
Yeah.
have a clear
Yeah.
mind.
He has
Yeah.
Correct?
no idea
Exactly.
how to
Because
control
now anything's on the table.
it. Yep.
We thought Vader had a temper.
Right.
Not like
But
bad.
it was a cold, calculated temper. You know what I mean? Like
From Vader?
From Vader.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
like,
Yeah,
it was
It's
like
very-
a mature temper.
Right.
Yes.
Vader
Yeah.
used it. He
Right.
knew he was using it.
My
It was,
my
it was
all-
the principal of the school temper.
My
Kylo Ren
all-time
loses
Kylo,
control.
Kylo
Yes.
Ren's
Yes.
the kid.
He has no
He's the
control.
bully
Yes.
kid
Yes.
in the school temper.
My all-time favorite Vader like temper moment is where they're sitting, and I believe it's in the Death Star, and he just starts choking him, and,
Yes.
and Graham off top is like, "Enough!" And he's like, and
I also
he just
love
stops.
steroids,
He's just
dude.
like,
Yeah.
So the Family
"Yes,
Guy,
Dad."
the Family Guy Star Wars. Watch those. Those are my favorite spoofs outside of Spaceballs. I love when it's the end of the Empire Strikes Back episode. The Millennium Falcon gets away. Stewie plays Darth Vader. He watches the Falcon fly away. He goes, "Oh my gosh, someone is so getting force choked for this." That's one of my favorite parts. Moving on. Rey's origins on Jakku. So we know she was there. She was dropped off when she was 5. We see it later in the scene that's kind of like the Dagobah scene with Luke, where she's seeing this vision, this flashback of her screaming as a little girl. So cleverly, obviously, we don't know who's dropping her off. Who's dropping her off?
I think before you guys go, I have a feeling that somebody is going to say that she is related to Luke Skywalker, but more than just he's Uncle Luke. I think some people in this room think that she is Luke's kid in a way, and I just want to bring up.
I don't want to agree with Pete again, but
I want to bring up an important fact that could change because Luke is the only surviving Jedi that we know of, really. And when Padme gets pregnant, whichever one that is, and they really say, is that 3? That's 3.
3, yeah.
They have to keep that a secret because it is part of the rules that Jedis can't have kids.
right,
And
attachment.
they can't, exactly, like they can't have that. So my feeling on the whole thing is that if Luke is the Jedi, he can't have a kid. Like it's
He's not
just-
part of a Jedi Order, though.
Yeah,
Sam.
that's
Well,
exactly what I was gonna
true,
say. I was
true.
like, let me just poke some all these holes in it. Yeah, he was trained way before, like what would they were training the younglings like when they were like
Yeah.
born.
It's a
like,
totally different
there's
era.
No,
Yeah.
there's no order. Like there's no Jedi Order, so
So
he
true.
can do whatever the hell he wants.
I was in the camp beforehand that it was speculation that Kylo, or Rey, was a Solo.
Yeah.
I'm 50-50, but I may lean towards Luke.
Here's
Yes.
here's where I want to poke a hole in your counter theory to my
Poking
theory.
holes in more holes.
He wants to poke a hole in your
Hole.
hole poking.
Yeah.
So really, you want to tape it up?
Yeah.
Let me get that straight.
Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
grammar aside, we want to go over and is that even grammar? I don't know, but
And focus.
so
Your English teacher father is so proud.
Good thing he's not here.
although yes, he's not officially like part of the Jedi Order because it doesn't exist anymore and all that. It does say in the opening crawl that he disappears to go and find the Jedi Temple, the first Jedi Temple, or if it's not in the crawl, somebody says it.
It's in the crawl.
If he's going to the extent of I want to find the first ever Jedi Temple, that leads me to believe that he's in tune with the Jedi Order. He knows what the rules were. He's following those rules.
Why would he?
It just like if you're strong enough to feel you're the last Jedi in the universe as far as you know. Who knows? Somebody could have survived or trained somebody else that just hasn't appeared
Leia
yet.
could have been a Jedi.
Leia could.
Yeah.
She
She
could've
could. She
Yeah.
could have. There has been in what is now legend. There has been things that
Correct.
have given her Jedi powers, and
We don't know what happened to Ezra on Star Wars Rebels, the TV
That's true.
show. We don't know what's happened
I
with
don't
him.
think it's ever been mentioned that Jedi cannot have children. It's mentioned that they need to avoid attachments.
They
So
can technically get married, but not
Yeah,
really.
But like,
Well,
how like when they were.
How would you? All right. How would you explain to me how you would not have attachment if you had a kid?
imagine a crazy one-night stand at the cantina on Tatooine. Yeah. Okay.
Some death
No, and
sticks
then
involved?
in the future some death sticks. Yeah.
How are they like getting?
It's all I'm
children,
saying is
though?
I've never heard that that's a rule, but avoiding attachments. So if you had a child that you maybe didn't know about, then found out about later, it'd be very easy to objectively say, okay, well, I'm going to avoid that attachment.
So much
That's
so
interesting. I've never thought of it that way.
so much so that you're willing to go over when stuff goes crazy. You're willing to take your child and put them on a desert
So here's
planet.
my thought on that. So Luke's looking at right at the end. Again, it had to sink in before I thought it. He's almost looking at her like, I've really screwed this up. Like, oh goodness, maybe this is my daughter kind of thing.
He
Yeah,
did
I
have
mean,
that.
there's-
He
I
did have
have a
that
kid.
look on his face, like, "Oh,
So,
you're
Well,
here."
I mean, is there still the question of whether she's a solo or not?
Mhm.
Because I don't know if there is in my mind.
Like-
Because when there's absolutely no. They talk about Ben. They talk about Ben. They talk about Ben. Han and Leia. Talk about Ben. Talk about Ben. Talk about Ben. There is never another ounce of conversation about another child or anything when they get off the Millennium Falcon there after Han dies. Now Leia walks right by Chewie to hug Rey.
Rey.
But there's still no
She
like.
did not get introduced to her at all. Rey was never there because she got kidnapped by Kylo Ren. So they never met at all on
That's-
screen. And I'm like, I'm like, she just walked right past everyone and hugs her, and I'm like,
That's a very
and
mother-daughter.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like, didn't
There-
that
like,
looks like
just
a mom
went
and
to her
daughter
to
hugging
comfort
each
her.
other.
But it
'Cause,
wasn't
like, it would
acted
re-
like
And
yeah.
to go back
there was
to-
absolutely no indication of that whatsoever, other than the hug
Yeah,
itself. There was
yeah.
You
no
also-
indication.
you also
That's by
Han's-
design. I'm telling you. I don't.
I'm
I
sure
don't.
of that,
reaction,
if it
too.
is.
When Han first sees her and meets her and stuff, there's that kind of like, I don't want to. You stole my ship. Like, why are you on my ship? Type of reaction.
Yeah,
and then
see, I never got
as-
1 ounce of it from
as
Han.
it progresses,
Not one
though,
bit.
well,
Every time they say the same sentence doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
I
That
see
was
what
such
you're
every
a
time
they
saying.
say the same sentence, and they go over and have that moment where he's gonna offer her a job.
She's not only a great pilot. Chewie loves her. He doesn't
She
really
knows
care for anyone but
exactly-
Han.
She's like, oh, I just did this, and he's like, okay.
So that's my thing. She's
Yeah.
not just a great pilot, which could mean Han or Luke because they're both great.
Yep.
She can
but-
fix things.
He's a little bit technical, even though the Millennium Falcons had a lot of technical issues, right?
Yeah.
Luke's not really, at least in the movie, shown to be technical.
And it's again.
But
it
Anakin
seems-
does fix a lot, so it's like they did this on purpose.
If I want to bring it back to your original question, which was who dropped her off, I think it was Leia. Not because it's a mother-daughter. I still think it's Luke's child, and I think that she took her there, maybe at request of Luke, saying you need to take her someplace.
Because of
Don't
what
tell
happened
me
with
where.
Ben.
Exactly.
And this
Totally.
is a good thing. Like, I'm trying because I haven't seen it again, and I need to. When they're talking about the droid being on Jakku, they say that it's with a girl, and he like Kylo Ren reacts like
He
he
says, "A
knows
girl?"
who. Yeah, it's like he knows, like he's like interested. Like, there's a girl. Like,
And they
And
have
then-
they have that moment with the whole mind control thing where they're
It's
kind of
probably hard to pick up chicks with that mask on. So he was like,
Well, I mean,
"Girl,
it's
I'm
actually
in."
it's a
I'm
lot
in,
easier
let's
if he
go.
keeps the mask
I got
on.
that mind control power. Let's go. But like with that whole like mind controlling kind of like trying to get into her head thing, they have that kind of.
That was sibling-esque to me.
They definitely had that sibling
Yes.
where
the lightsaber
both-
battle at the end.
But
was
it could
very
be,
much.
You know, again, like, do you think that?
I'm not saying they're twins
Well,
anymore.
right, but they were. You don't think they were twins? She was gone at 5, so he's never met her. Like he doesn't know it's his sister.
I'm not saying that. He doesn't have to mention that at all in this movie.
It
Yeah.
just.
Vader doesn't mention Luke until the end of the second movie.
Yeah,
of
but
that
that's
trilogy.
by design, and I think that Kylo Ren couldn't have hold that. I think that would be, well, hello sister, welcome back, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Does he mention the Han Solo thing? No.
How
Snoke
many
I feel
things
like
do
he
you
would've
remember from
converted
being
her to
5
the
years
dark
old?
side. If it was his real sister,
One.
He attempted it.
yeah, he would have like, I feel like he knew it was his sister. He would have automatically been like, help me live on in Grandpa's legacy. Let's do this.
He
Yeah.
offers her a
I don't-
spot to
I'm
the
not
dark
buying-
side.
I'm not
He
buying
says,
the
I
He
can,
does say that.
He
He does
offers-
he
say.
says, I can train you.
Yeah,
You
he
need
does say
training.
that. He does say that. And there's lots of cool little layers here, but I'm not buying it. I think it's.
I
Probably,
can go either way, but I
think
could
it's
make an
cousin.
argument for either.
Right.
I
I
I
think
add
it's
another
cousin. I
little
think it's
interesting tidbit. I just read this. Ben Kenobi. She's a Kenobi.
You know, that was a kind of a back theory too that I had
Mhm.
seen.
Yeah, it
that
was-
she might be in his lineage.
Due to his relationship with the Mandalorian queen from the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It could have been something like that. If any Jedi could objectively say, I need
So she'd
to
have to be-
separate myself from this,
She'd
it
have to
would
be
Obi-Wan.
granddaughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not
in that
daughter,
line.
granddaughter.
Yeah.
In like,
Can you
yeah,
imagine that? That would be quite a twist. I
That'd be
did
sweet.
see that.
That
Yeah.
might even just piss me off.
that's
So we're bringing the Mandalorian queen in, like, what is that? Like an all-night buffet or something like that?
That's Mongolian
Mandalorian- What's that?
Not finding out about Rey's lineage, and I know they did it on
Alrighty then.
purpose, upset me. That was like the one thing I needed to know, and they're like,
So J.J. Abrams said in an interview over the weekend, we couldn't reveal everybody's origins in this first movie.
Yeah.
He said we chose Kylo's, and he even mentioned it. He said George Lucas doesn't bring up Luke or Leia's lineage in A New Hope.
They
Said
kiss.
They wait till The Empire Strikes Back.
That was
And
the
then-
ultimate red herring. they can't be related. They kiss.
It's true. Then Return of the Jedi. So there's that. But next, lightsaber calls to Rey. That might point to it being her being a Skywalker, because that was Anakin's, that was Luke's. Odds are, hey, if you're fighting for the Luke argument, that was the most powerful scene in the movie to me outside of him
Yeah.
dying.
That
how
felt
did
like
he lose his lightsaber?
Luke,
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah,
It's-
because he lost it when it fell off the port.
So how does Maz acquire it? She
Right.
says that's a
There-
story for another time.
Right.
She does say that, and it brings up some interesting things that I was reading, because I honestly thought that I have a distinct memory of a lightsaber being cut in half, and I could have sworn it was the blue lightsaber.
It was in episode
And
2.
you told me that it was, but Luke fixed it, or one of them fixed it, or made a new one, or
Anakin
whatever.
rebuilt a similar one in episode
So-
3.
Yeah.
When he gets cut, you see Obi-Wan pick it up and walk away with it.
Yeah. So when Luke's arm gets cut off, and the thing it falls down with his arm into the Cloud City, but we never explore, like, nothing has ever really dove into what Cloud City is. Like, it's a most people know, if, like, there's a couple of video games that have kind of explored it a little bit, but all you've seen is
Rogue Squadron
Luke.
at 64.
or
It's a city in the Bespin system.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront is, and it changes too throughout like Star Wars stuff. It changes. It orbits it at one point. It's in it in the movie. I think it's actually in the gas giant, and then in some other stuff it orbits the planet. But all you ever see is Luke drop down, finds a tunnel, falls down, gets picked up. But there's a lot of different tunnels that can go in there, and so.
I'm not sure there's any, in my opinion, any relevance to that. I
Well,
think it was
has
just
to-
random.
Well, no, like.
I think it was a great little thing left over.
Yeah, I think
It
And
goes,
and J.J.
like-
Abrams like, oh, let's
yeah,
do
he's
this.
like, no one
No-
talked about it. Let's
Nobody
do it.
explains where does it go. Like
Right.
it gets. How does it get from Bespin
I'm
to
just
Maz?
glad that the hand wasn't still attached. When she opened the box, there's Luke's hand. Hello.
It would just
So-
be a skeleton. It's okay.
I think coming
That-
back
that's-
to
Okay.
Going back
Go
to the
ahead.
original question with it calling to Rey, the lightsaber calling to her, that feels like an obvious connection to Luke Skywalker.
Is it throwing us off, or is
Exactly,
Did
that's what
you
I'm
hear
saying.
about people talking about how you can hear Obi-Wan and Yoda's voice calling out to Rey during
it my
it?
next point?
Yeah.
So I didn't hear Yoda, but I remember turning to Lauren and going, "It was Obi-Wan." You hear Rey, kind of like Qui-Gon kind of calls
Yeah.
out to Anakin in the
Yeah.
prequels. So the fun fact behind this is that they called Ewan McGregor back to record that one word.
Because Alex Guinness wasn't available.
He's a force
Unless
ghost.
he's a Force ghost.
Yeah.
So Alec Guinness in A New Hope says "afraid" at one point. They took Rey out of that and meshed it with Ewan McGregor's. So in essence, it's actually Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor together saying Rey.
Wow.
So Alec Guinness is in this movie.
That's amazing.
That's so cool to me that his legacy is still here. He passed away 2000, I believe.
I wonder if anybody
I thought
updated his IMDb page.
I don't know, but I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Man. I love that Ewan McGregor was back.
Just wondering.
Now
Yes.
Alec Guinness is doing that.
And
And
they talked about CGing one of the characters from. Did that happen? There was one of the characters from the. Was it the guy that got choked or something like that, or?
you mean from like the past trilogy?
Yeah, who's dead now. And they wanted that character back, and they talked about just bringing him back as CGI. I wrote about it somewhere about
No.
we could just bring back anybody we wanted now. We don't even have to pay actors anymore. We can just.
I don't believe so.
And I'm pretty sure I wrote about it
Mhm.
on the
You
Geekiverse
did.
when I first started writing. It was one of my Friday 5.
Did anyone hear Yoda?
I did
I
not
know.
know.
This is the
Well,
first
we've
time
seen
I'm
it
hearing
once,
that you
so-
heard Obi-Wan.
Yeah, no, Obi-Wan clearly says Rey. I didn't. Yoda
I just
supposedly
heard
is talking
talking.
when Luke very faintly screams no.
I know.
So,
I
good
know.
news
I need
is
to
I'm
see it.
not
Regarding the
on second,
connection,
third.
the connection with the lightsaber, items and places or objects in places that are strong in the Force have that. That's like the Force cave on Dagobah.
Mhm.
It wasn't that Yoda had magicked up this place. It was that that cave was strong in the dark side of the Force. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that the lightsaber was calling out to her, but because the lightsaber is so strong in the Force, that's she was seeing this stuff through the Force. So never mind the fact that it was Luke's lightsaber. The fact that when she was in this area that was so strong in the Force, that's what she saw. That's an even stronger connection to me that she's got this Luke connection somehow.
I agree. I
Because
think
take
that's
the
what-
item out. It's just the Force was what was.
Could she be Luke's granddaughter?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, I think it would be daughter. If,
Yeah.
It would be
There would be
Yeah.
a stretch, just timeline wise,
Yeah.
but interesting thought.
And we talked last time. We talked about Mara Jade. And
Yep.
She absolutely could show up at some point in
Or
time
whoever
later
she
on,
could've been the one
who
or
dropped off
somebody
Rey.
mentions her. She could be the one that dropped off Rey. So
Can we talk about just how awesome Rey is? That say Poe Dameron was overpowered by Kylo Ren's Force powers. Poe Dameron is the best pilot in the the Rebel Force, and yet Rey holds off Kylo Ren's
I kind of want
Force control.
like
She's got force.
something
Yeah,
to go
she's got
off
force.
of
She's
that.
such an empowering character.
We've been through the 6 movies we've been there's been a lot of stuff referencing the balance of the Force, and in the first 3, meaning 1, 2, 3, not the originals, but it is said that Anakin is the chosen one. He is going to bring balance to the Force. Like he's the equalizing thing in that. Then he goes over to the dark side. Things kind of fall apart. One can argue that he did or didn't bring balance. Then you have Luke come in, who you can argue is the next or is the actual chosen one. What if neither of those two were? Rey is
So
powerful.
she's the chosen one, you're saying.
I am saying it's a theory that I have.
I like that. I
because
haven't heard that.
Rey is it was something that I was reading while you guys were doing one of the 20 questions. If you haven't seen it, you should go check that out. It'll be up before this one. A plug, but she's so strong in the Force, and she's never trained with it.
Was
The other theory that I had was when she touches the lightsaber and all the images come in, it's almost like you're witnessing the murder of Luke's Jedi Padawans from a first-person view.
Anakin's?
Well, I
Yeah.
thought.
Oh no, I know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
There's a whole part of it where, all right, so we entered into I can kind of get into your head and manipulate things, and that's just an untrained. He's pretty raw in his Force powers, Kylo Ren. someone like Luke might actually be able to get into your head and change some details, make you not remember things. What if she was there? Like, going back to the whole sibling thing, what if she was there? There is a book, which it's now legend, not canon anymore, but there is a book where Han and Leia have 2 kids and they both go train with Luke. What if she's the sibling, she was there, she didn't succumb to the darkness, so they sent her off, but Luke did a little, like, hypnotism.
Same.
Yeah, I was saying that'd be hard because she was 5, like when they dropped
Yeah,
her off, right?
I agree. Yeah. My thought with this is Kylo is an old. If they end up being siblings, Kylo's maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 years older than her. I mean,
Yeah.
that might be a stretch, but
I don't
anyway.
know, 5 to 7, maybe 2 to 3. I wouldn't go too much older.
What you were saying about him being the chosen one, he was the chosen one. He brought balance to the Force, but it was the Sith side. They had annihilated them because there was no Sith.
I
But
don't
Anakin
think-
Skywalker is redeemed in the end and
Yeah.
ends up destroying the Sith.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Bringing
There's the
balance.
balance of the Force.
Again,
I thought you were just going with, like, oh yeah, he brought balance to the Force, and I was like, I don't think killing the opposition is really bringing balance to it, but okay.
Well, what if the whole balance of the Force thing isn't in a person? It's the Force itself manifesting in different vessels.
Mhm.
So if you consider then that as of right now, there's Luke Skywalker, there's nobody else. There's Snoke, there's the Knights of Ren. The light side of the Force needs somebody to grasp onto. So, and it kind of, if you go like, I think it's Carl Jung has the collective unconsciousness. Maybe that's kind of where the Force resides, and when she's gets near the lightsaber, she picks up the lightsaber, she's accessing the Force for the first time, and the Force just flows into her, and that could explain the lightsaber battle at the end, where she finally calms down, and then boom, the Force is with her, the light side of the Force. So she is the manifestation.
It's just
of the
hard
light
for
side
me
of the
to
Force.
believe that it takes, like, you got people like Mace Windu, Yoda, who have trained for years.
they weren't built like a Skywalker was built, though.
True,
So
but like,
that's the
I mean,
argument there.
even you get to be like Anakin and Luke. Like, Darth Vader didn't have.
You dork.
You're yeah. I will break
Look
my
at Truckee over here.
That.
Well, look, I mean,
Everybody boo and hiss. Boo! Yes. So
Luke had what, maybe a couple weeks of training with Yoda before his first fight with Vader, and he
Exactly.
kind of holds his own with Vader for a little while. So some people might just be more apt to pick up the Force
True.
quicker than
And
And
others.
if it's a saturation level thing, like back when the Jedi Council was still going on, yeah, these Jedi had to train and they had to work hard because the Force could be spread out
Right.
with so many. But now there's only a select few that the Force can be a part of the Force.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's
it comes a
symbiotic.
little easier.
They mentioned that. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's a great theory.
it goes to the Force sensitive people. So that would explain why one might be so powerful.
Yeah.
But
Fewer Jedi, more Force for them.
Jeff, you love Wedge Antilles. What do you think of Poe Dameron? Oscar
Loved it.
Isaac.
Oscar Isaac knocked it out of the park.
He is so cool.
Yep.
Yes,
he-
Right?
it is. Yes.
Like he's
Like Han
funny
Solo.
right off the
Yes.
bat. He's like, "All right, how does this go? Do I talk first? I didn't expect that at all.
You didn't say that.
And that
too.
set the tone.
So
Yeah.
cool.
I love the X-wing that, like, not the first one that gets blown up, but
Yes.
the one that he actually flies in to destroy a thing. I like that it's different. Like, it's got the black paint job with the red stripes.
He's customized it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it looks cool. Like, that's something, like, that's the hot rod
That's-
X-wing of all of them.
Right, and that's another thing that, like, over 32 years, the X-Wing is exactly the same as it was.
Yeah, but it's got a new
32
paint
years
job.
ago. So that's what I thought was
If it
cool
ain't
about it.
broke,
I mean,
don't
the
fix it.
design of the
Yeah.
design of the ship is exactly
Somebody
the same.
should
It's
tell that
like,
lesson to the Empire.
How
If it ain't broke,
badass-
don't fix it.
Yeah. How
I just said
badass
that.
was it, that shot where it's just him just wrecking house, and it's right after Maz's place gets kind of trashed by the First
Oh,
Order,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he comes in like the cavalry's here, he's like going all over the place.
It looks like a
totally
video game
wrecking
almost.
house. I'm sitting there going, oh my god, that's so cool. I was like, that's got to be Poe Dameron, and then it shows him, he's like, woohoo!
Okay,
Especially
speaking of
because
that,
there's no cut from the camera. The camera
Yeah.
just follows it the
And he
entire time.
takes down like 12 TIE fighters.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
The
shot.
scene that they cut out of this that you didn't see is when the bald general tells him he gets to go to Top Gun after this.
Yeah.
speaking
Thanks,
of
man.
which, I love and hated the part where Poe and Finn are like, brother! Like, and they're like hugging hugging it out. I'm like, you guys met for like 5 seconds.
See, I
And they're
love,
like,
I love their camaraderie.
Yeah.
That was one of the few things that I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
they were like,
yeah, that's
oh.
nice. He's got a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stormtrooper
Well,
who
they-
got
I mean, the cool
yeah.
thing about that is they both thought the other one
Was dead. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they both
Yeah.
saw each other and
I mean-
and Poe saw his jacket again.
Yeah.
I love that every single person that's the first thing they notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Poe's jacket.
The interesting thing about that is
He's like the Fonz, really.
I mean, it's a sweet jacket. Sweet jacket. But
That's how R2D2 would have been. He just walked away.
I'm alive too.
Then he leaned up against it real cool.
the interesting thing about them being like almost acting sibling-like is, for all intents and purposes, Poe is his sibling. Like Poe
They're
gave,
bros, all right?
he
Yeah.
gave
Like,
him
they
his
just went
name.
through and escaped together.
Poe gave Finn the name.
It's like them breaking out, Princess Leia and the Death Star. Han and Luke are bros now.
And
It just
well,
happens.
and it really is kind of like it's his first friend out of the
true.
Yeah.
out of the plastic.
He doesn't
you
have a
know what I
name.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
He gave him a
right.
name.
yeah,
Finn,
like
right?
that,
So
that's
where it is.
if I think you're dead and you gave me my name, I'm gonna give you a hug and be excited that you're alive.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm sorry, but
They
that's
helped me escape
so
and everything.
the one
How
quote-
to get
the
on
one
animals.
give me my name.
The
And
one quote from Poe that I really loved was when they were starting to attack Starkiller Base, and he said, "As long as there's light, I believe we have a chance," or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
It just so thematic.
There
So-
really hasn't been a character like him, like really like him. I mean, there's some similarities in other pilots and other characters, but I think he's unique. Oscar Isaac, I really respected in this role.
Yeah.
With that being said, we should wrap up first portion of this. This is part 1. It's going to be a part 2, maybe a part 3. We'll see, depending on how this night goes. But we're having fun with some Star Wars: The Force Awakens spoilers here. So leave your thoughts below. Are we missing any, or stay tuned for episode 2? We'll find out. But we'll see you soon.